Morning. We are doing an early one today. I just need to get Kaden, and then we have a guest coming on to join us today too. Okay. Morning.
Good morning.
How's it going? Good.
It's going good. Yeah, no complaints. Back from the gym, writing those damn
Yep,
letters like
yep.
I told you
2 a
about
day.
yesterday. That's what I'm going to do next year, 2 a day
Yeah.
instead of 40 a day. It's not fun.
Tried to invite Bo here. Let's see.
Though if you're on, there should be like a little drop down that you'll click
Okay, I
on.
just tried to invite you again. And if that doesn't work, you can try to ask to join. These lives of Rio.
Despite what it looks like here, it's cold.
Oh my
But I
gosh.
need to get
It was
outside.
supposed to be like 2 degrees this week at one point. Ugh, but not anymore. The forecast
What?
has changed.
I
Oh my gosh.
take back what I
This
said.
is like not
I thought it was.
working. No,
Damn it. Come
he
on, Bo.
he asked
Come
to
on, Bo.
be invited, and now it's not letting me accept him. Or I'm just doing it wrong. Let me try to invite him one more time.
We didn't have this problem with Rose, did we? Come on, Insta.
I don't know what's going on. I know. Thanks, guys.
Love that people are
Yeah,
bearing with us.
we'll figure this
Please
out.
hold.
So, what else is new?
Chelsea, so Becky. Honestly, just those letters and planning for the in-laws to be here for a week. They come out on Christmas, so just kind of getting the house ready, and just trying to enjoy life with the work we have
Nice.
going on. So
Good.
yeah, pretty laid back. Filling my schedule. It's the only thing I can
I
do.
do not know why this is not working. Okay, there we go.
Should we?
What's up?
There. Oh.
Let's do a video on social media
There we
and
go.
teach people that we don't know how to use social media.
How's it going, Kaylee?
Good.
Nice to meet you.
For you. Yeah.
Yeah. What's up, Caden? Good. So
What's
what
up,
are we
man?
talking about? Social media? Oh yeah,
Thanks
of
for
course.
hopping on.
Excited. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, I think typically we just kind of
Yeah.
ramble on about the topic that we have for the week. So anything that you feel like is important for our listeners and followers to know, anything like questions that you have for us, any questions we have for you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love it.
I mean, I reached out because we were coming up with an idea. I know we hadn't really talked on social media, and as much as both Kaylee and I care about it when it comes to our businesses, but Bo and I, we see very eye to eye on a lot of things. We've talked about this stuff, and we actually met through
Nice.
social media. So, just a testament to how
Yeah.
important it is.
Absolutely.
And didn't we meet we met on Instagram before you even moved out to Arizona, right?
Yeah, I saw you pop up on my feed, and I remember following you. And then as I was getting closer to moving,
Yeah.
I remember I reached out, and you're like, "Yeah, let's connect." And it took us a couple months, but yeah, no, of course, like that's how important it is. Like, showing that your personal brand and showing that you're in the industry, and then it catches my attention, and I'm like, "Oh, I got to meet this guy when I go down there."
Right. No, absolutely.
Yeah.
So
But,
yeah, I love I love the layout. I love just kind of like the relaxed conversation style. I think especially now there's a lot to talk about just with different changes with Instagram. Have you guys seen the Instagram notes recently? Yeah,
Oh,
they've been,
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. I didn't know what
Yeah.
those
I just
were,
put
but
one up
yes,
today.
I have seen them.
It's crazy because just talking about Instagram notes, I've asked like a couple of like simple questions like coffee or tea, just some very simple things to create engagement. And my DMs have just been blowing up just because of that. And more importantly than that, I've been talking with a lot more new people, so it's a great way to be connecting with people that you don't normally talk to.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
That's awesome. We'll need to look more into that because, like you said, I've seen it, but
Yeah,
didn't
definitely
really know
check
what
it
it
out.
was.
Yeah. I will say this just to kind of keep the things going. So I have a podcast, and I recently had Buck Wise on the podcast. Kaylee, do you know Buck Wise?
I don't know.
Caden, you're familiar with Buck Wise, aren't you?
Yeah, I mean, through you, we talked about him a little
Yeah.
bit. Yeah,
So
I know more now.
we're talking about branding, personal branding, and things for real estate agents. And one of the things that he brought up was something that Grant Cardone has always said. And if people don't know you, they can't flow you. And I thought that was really, really powerful.
Mm-hmm.
And just wanted to bring that up kind of in the beginning, just to kind of give us a somewhat of a talking point too.
Yeah.
So.
No, and I think that's a really important aspect of social media, and when you're reaching out to people that you know or don't know.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if we've had this conversation yet, but there's a ton of clients that I've had that I've known previously, but I don't really consider them to be in my sphere because I won't reach out to them I don't have a phone number, I don't have an address, I don't have an email address, I have no way of getting in touch with them outside of social media. And so when they finally start to see that you're posting real estate stuff or whatever business you're in, and they start to, put two and two together, and then they go to purchase something and they reach out to you, like that becomes a social media lead, in my opinion, because even though you've known them in the past, you wouldn't have connected with them outside of social media. So
totally. Yeah, totally. Go ahead.
Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
There's a little bit of a delay, so we're fighting through it. I was going to say I've witnessed that firsthand on the stuff I've done when I first started doing videos and trying to get people's attention. The point being, I didn't want to have to cold call and tell everyone that I'm a lender now, because I feel like there's no value in that call. So that's why I started doing that. But I reached out to people that I had originally known, but again, didn't have phone numbers, didn't know extremely well. Like, wouldn't call them a friend, but more of an acquaintance. But they reach out and go, "Hey, we'd like to, we've seen you. We want to use you for our mortgage." And it's awesome, and it's definitely a great way to not take any time out of someone's day, but also give them value. It's exactly what someone wants right now. Don't take time away, but give me some value.
Yeah. Well,
and I think good. I mean, you obviously still want to utilize other tools, like calling people, writing letters, like you said, but it's such an easy way to get in front of so many people that you both know and don't know and want to know or want to connect with in some way. So it's a great tool.
Yeah. I think that when it comes to personal branding for real estate agents and lenders and title people, I think social media is a great way to stay relevant, get exposure that you wouldn't normally get in real life. But I also think that it's a great way to help convert in real life. And this is something that Buck and I were talking about as well on my podcast was, social media is great to get people the awareness, get people to understand who you are and what you do. But when you're at the farmer's market or when you're at the movie theater or when you're at church, that's when things are going to start clicking and people are going to come up to you and ask you about what you do and ask you about what's going on with the market and ask you where rates are and all of that. And then that's where you start to build that relationship to where you can eventually help with the conversion. So I thought that was also really powerful.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, the biggest thing I've learned is, it is those connections outside of how you can take that connection outside of social media. It's a great way to just start a conversation. But then you also get to see the other person. Like, you both get to judge. Judge is probably a bad word, but you both get to gauge if you think that person is could be a friend, could be a good fit for what your business accomplishments or life accomplishments are.
Yeah.
And you can also tell, like, when people, I mean, like you were talking about, Bo, with the new notes, like there's a lot of ways within Instagram specifically to increase your engagement. And so it's always a little bit uncomfortable, at least from my perspective, when you post these polls and then you're like, well, what do I do with this information? And so you reach out to this random stranger that answered your poll. And then from there, you can really tell, like, who wants to build connections as well. Like, some people will just ignore you. Some will write back like long paragraphs and then continue the conversations. And so it's a good way for you as well to gauge, like, okay, this is somebody that I could potentially see myself working with at some point down the line, and I look forward to working with them.
Absolutely.
that's
Sorry. I'll take this. I'll take my turn. No, you're good.
I know.
So where do you guys see your content, like buckets, for example? So do you guys have like any type of buckets that you create your content around, or is it just real estate specific? Or do you include personal type of information? This is something I think that is big for a lot of people, because the question is, what do I post? You know, everybody's like, you need to be on social media, but what do I post? And posting just about real estate can become super overwhelming, and it can become super boring for the audience. So what do you guys think about that?
Yeah. I was actually having a conversation with my husband yesterday or the other day about it. We were in San Diego visiting friends and family for an event, and my sister-in-law's friends were like, we want to follow you on Instagram. And sometimes I find myself feeling guilty because I'm like, yeah, I would love to connect. But it's like I would say a majority of my posts are real estate related. And I do sprinkle in mostly on the stories. And then sometimes I'll post like a personal post. But it's like, I don't want someone to feel obligated to, continue following me if they're live in a different state, don't have too much in common with me, or just following me because we met. So like, I don't know if you guys feel the same way, but I find myself feeling a little bit guilty about like having people, like random strangers follow me. When I want to connect with them too, But.
Yeah, I think it depends. For me, I think it depends on who the follower is. Obviously if it's like a bot account, I try to get rid of them. But if it's a lot of times I'll get, other real estate agents from across the country, just because, I'm as everybody in the Tom Ferry world at least watches their videos and does, that type of thing. Are you into that, Kaylee?
I don't really follow Tom Ferry too much, but I do follow other podcasts.
Cool. Yeah, absolutely. So anyways, you just get connected with a lot of real estate agents from all over the place. And so I think that is great just for the referral part of things, especially for real estate agents. But real quick, I just want to make sure that if there's questions that we get to them. So
yeah, and I can scroll back and read them too.
Okay, cool. Yeah, if you want to do that, then that'd be awesome.
Yeah. Okay, so someone said, good to see you talking about the new features. Even though it's simple, I see big potential. What are the most creative ways you have seen it used so far?
I think questions, it's almost like polls. You can ask a question, people go into their messages and see it, and then it almost can jog like I posted yesterday. Again, Kaylee, I apologize for saying it, but yesterday was it was not it was super cold.
Oh, okay.
Today. Everyone posted.
It's true.
Everyone down here was saying Arizona is freezing.
That's
it
cold.
was 35 degrees and I was not prepared for it, but I posted something like that. Yes. But I posted something like that. Someone else posted, and then a couple of conversations, a couple of people across the valley just going back and forth talking about the cold. And I was like, I didn't leave the Northwest.
It came to you.
So, yeah. But it's just, honestly, it's like what Bo was saying of it's creating a conversation. There's days like yesterday, I didn't leave the house. I went on a run. But you're still able to create conversations with people while I'm, trying to get through all the work that I want to do. Those are the best ways. It's almost like another way to do a poll. Or you can just, I could see people posting in there, every day you can, like the Fed rate, this is now Mortgage Nerd, the Fed raised the rate on yesterday. You can just post Fed raised rate, and then someone could ask a question based on that. So
I think one way that I've seen it be used really effectively is, you have your ways of just creating engagement. Like I think mine right now is pasta or pizza, and they can, people, and I've had a couple already, and I just did it like, 15, 20 minutes ago. But I think if we're talking the best creative way for business, I think it's kind of what Caden is talking about. Just make something short about interest rates or about home buying process or where the housing market is right now. One thing I've already seen with notes is that, it's about trying to capture the consumer's attention. So if you have if you go max characters with that question, you're going to lose people's attention. They're most likely not going to click on your question and read the whole thing. So try to keep it short to where people can read the whole question without having to click on it and expand it all the way. So that's something that I've seen, and just maybe a tip that, because just as me as a consumer, I'm not going through every single person's, note and expanding it and seeing what their question is. I'm going to just go through the ones that are relatively short, answer them, and then, move on. So just another little tip for that.
what I was gonna, I realized that when I posted mine today. Too long, so I got to go change it. But I didn't realize that
Right.
I would do the same thing. But
Yeah.
both my teeth.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So yeah, it'll be exciting for you to try it out, Kaylee. I'm excited
Yeah,
for you
I'm excited
to check.
for it.
Do you have access to it?
I don't know yet.
So like when
I've seen it show up, but I haven't
Okay.
seen any way of like me being able to do it.
Okay, yeah.
But
So
I
it'll
haven't
be
looked into it. So
yeah, like when you go to your direct messages, it's at the very top, and you'll see like a bunch of little story looking icons.
yeah.
And yours, the option for you, if you see those, then you have access.
Oh, okay.
So that very first one should have your profile picture.
Yeah.
And if you just click on it, it'll say add
That's
note,
sweet.
and you can add whatever you want in there.
Perfect. Yeah, I'll have to do that today. I'll
Mhm.
do rent or buy because of your suggestion, Premium Christian.
There you go. Yeah. So, anyways, yeah. If anybody has any questions, just throw them in there, and we can chat about them. But there was something that I was going to say as well. What are your guys' thoughts about like hyper localized content?
If you don't come up, so here's what I've noticed when it comes to localized content, and you're talking about like within your like actually geographical,
Yeah.
right? Yeah. What I've noticed, what I like doing, is highlighting if I go to a certain restaurant or highlighting different things like that. But I think I've been saying this for weeks now, but I think it's something that people always forget when they talk about Instagram growth. Everyone goes reels and non-followers and all that, of course, but if you can put something together for someone else, a business or anything, like a video, something of value, rather than just putting a location, and you can have some fun with it,
Right.
they share that
Right.
with their people. That's how you grow. Like that's how you put yourself within the community. Right. I remember doing that there's a Olive Mill in Queen Creek. I remember doing that. They shared mine. I have one for Pizzeria Bianco, Kaylee, that I got to get out, which when you come back, we for sure are going again.
Wow.
Yes, life-changing.
Yeah.
Especially with pistachios on a pizza. Have to go.
Yeah.
But that's the biggest thing I see when it comes to localized. But I think a lot of people overlook that, the ability to use other people's platform to grow
Right.
yours, and sharing with other people, collaborating with other people.
Yeah. Yeah. I think exactly to that point, I think trying to figure out a way to make hyper localized content one of your buckets. I have like three to four different buckets of content that I try to stay focused on, and that's family and family life. You have real estate, title development stuff. You have travel, and then I like to add hyper localized content as my 4 buckets, and that's just simply going around and spotlighting a restaurant like you're talking about, Kaden, and showing the different types of food. And I think that's super powerful because, especially for real estate agents, right? Because when people are looking for a new place to move, so if people are looking to move to Phoenix, Arizona, a lot of times they're going to be looking at what's in Phoenix, Arizona that we can do for fun. What kind of restaurants are there? What kind of coffee shops are there? What kind of shopping is there? And if you can try to hyper localize that and focus some of your content around that and then post it on social media, when people start looking up that, whether it's through hashtags or what, however it's through, they're going to start finding your content. And I think it's a great way. I've seen a lot of agents have a lot of success with that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So it said, would love your guys' thoughts on one above just a little bit. Hot take on what you guys were talking about in regards to only posting as realtors. And up here it said,
I can touch on that. He was talking about like, when he was going off of what we were saying of, buckets and what do you post and do you bring in any personal life? Please correct me if I'm wrong. In daily life and you're limiting the depth of your connections. Yes, 100%. So I remember when I first started, I had 2 pages, and I'm talking within the first month or 2. I had a business page and a personal page. And even then I found it was kind of silly to have just a business page, because like now I have to try and funnel all these people from one account to another just so they can see what I do for work. Like it didn't make sense. But then that's when I started understanding like having some fun with mortgage, but then also I can put in stuff about my own life. And I still do it now to this day, because I was just talking to someone on the phone this morning going, people don't just like reach out to you just because you're a title. Like people want to work with people that they like and get along with, and they can understand that you have their best interest in mind. and will that they can trust you through the whole process. And they only can understand that through seeing your personality and your personal life. For the most part, I think it's something that's still overlooked. I know there's sometimes this 80-20 rule. I probably tote the line sometimes of even 30-70. I remember making a video here talking about Kelsey making me a workout and it destroyed my legs. Like I'm gonna make a reel about that because it's relatable. And then also, like I told Kelsey, I go, this is my love letter to you.
Yeah, I think that's right on. I think that as far as mixing up your content and having different buckets is really critical right now. You guys know Jeremy Knight out in Texas at all? Yeah. So anyways, there's
I don't.
No, you're good. So there's so many different examples of
know.
having different buckets and stuff. I think a great example, one that I always usually look at is like just look at Gary Vaynerchuk, right? So he talks all about marketing and branding, but he has like a whole audience that follows him just because he's a fan of the New York Jets, right? And so he has that whole fan base. And so I recently made a great connection with somebody here locally because I went to a Suns game and I was just documenting the Suns game on my story, and it was a fun time. And I had a couple people reach out, but I had one guy reach out who's in my industry. And we just started talking about Suns, and we were talking about him for a couple minutes, and then I just said, hey, you want to meet up for coffee next week and talk Suns and real estate? And now he's a good customer. So it just is. And that relationship started from talking about the Suns, right? And I was just documenting what I was doing at the Suns game with my wife. And so I definitely think, documenting what you're doing in your everyday life is super important because it gives people kind of an insight on who you are as a person and what your interests are, and that'll attract people to you as well.
Yeah, definitely.
So, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, no, I mean, I agree. And I feel the same way about like having one page. It's the same thing for TikTok. I have one page for personal and business.
Yeah.
It's just easier too. Like you don't want to add too much to your plate. And I mean, it's really important that any potential client or follower, whoever, is starting to get to know you because people want to work with people that they know, like, and trust. And if you're consistently only posting about homes that you sold, no behind the scenes stories to like how you got there, how the deal was closed, those kinds of things, people will